Kala Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem Kagdash. Double honors to you apostles and those that rule well. Peace and blessings to you brothers out there that's kicking his word in sincerity, also in truth. I was watching the President Trump's declaration of the national emergency in around 2 hours 17 minutes, around like 40 seconds. He said something very interesting, and I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
And we need new wall. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank in particular the angel moms and dads for being here. Thank you very much. We have great respect for you. The real country, our real country, the people that really love our country, they love you. So I just want you to know that. I know how hard you fight, and I know how hard a fight you're having. I also want to thank all of the law enforcement for the job you do. Believe me, our country loves you and they respect you greatly. And we're giving you a lot of surplus. We're giving you surplus military equipment, which a lot of people didn't like giving previous to this administration.
You see that? He said to the law enforcement that he's giving them military equipment. Now, what we see going on here with this whole wall thing, I believe it's a distraction. I want to say that I believe that he was making all these various cuts in the government, basically to fund that coup that's going on in South America, and also to get ready for war. So the President Trump is actually using austerity measures in order to increase, to pay for his military ventures. Now this is austerity measures. It's not uncommon. A lot of times, countries do that in order to cut down their deficit. And we see places like Greece and other places in Europe do so. So just for edification, I'm going to briefly bring out 2 points. I want to bring out what austerity is and also what happens during austerity, which is martial law. Okay. Now, this is according to thebalance.com. Austerity measures, do they work, with examples. How and why they were used in the United States, Europe, and Greece. And as you can see right there, you have somebody, a police officer in military gear, military gear. Why is that? Because when it gets bad out here, they're gonna have to use the cops to keep everything in order, and that's gonna take them really cracking down, man. Okay, because these reduction in spending and government spending is going to greatly affect the people. You see, again, the reason why they're doing that because they're gearing up for war. Austerity measures are reductions in government spending, increases in tax revenues, or both. These harsh steps are taken to lower budget deficits and avoid a debt crisis. Governments are unlikely to use austerity measures unless forced to do so by the bond holders or other lenders. These measures act like contractionary fiscal policy. They slow economic growth. That makes it even more difficult to raise the revenue needed to pay off sovereign debt. Now you have President Trump saying that the wall that he wanted would cost $5 billion, and with him shutting down the government, that cost the government 11 billion. You see, but then I tell you is they saved a lot of money by doing that because a lot of people didn't get paid. You see, when you're dealing with a business, and you better believe that America is a business, you have to understand that most expensive thing that you have to pay are your employees, man. So if you cut down spending on your labor, even if it's a couple months, a couple of weeks. You know how much you could come up in that short amount of time? And that's exactly what the American government did, man. You see, in order for what? Well, in order to get ready for war, man. You see, they read that already. Austerity measures requires changes in government programs. For example, they limit the terms of unemployment benefits, extends the eligibility age for retirement and health care benefits, reduce government employees' wages, benefits, and hours, cut programs for the poor. And that's, we've seen both of those last two that were named. Reduction in government employees' wages. You had people that were working for the government not getting paid. Case in point, the TCA. TCA. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. And also you had SNAP that was cut off for a period of time in some of these states, and you had the people who were benefiting off of it. You know, they had to go without. Austerity measures also include tax reforms. For example, they raise income tax, especially on the wealthy, target tax fraud and tax evasion, privatize government-owned businesses. These are industries considered vital to the state's interests. They include utilities, transportation, and telecommunications. Some of them will raise revenue to pay off debt, increase value-added taxes. Other austerity measures reduce regulations to lower business costs. They require governments to remove some of the protections against wrongful terminations, lower or eliminate the minimum wage, increase workers' hours. So, you know, in times of austerity, you know, taxes tend to increase, and also people are really able to get fired more easily. You see, and all these things that we are naming, we're going to soon see here in the U.S., man, with the state of emergency. Okay. Now, going back to what we previously just heard President Trump talk about. Now, we've seen all these various drills, military drills in L.A., you know, which is a beautiful example, and also throughout the country, because America is getting ready to shut the streets down. You see? Now this is going into Rex 84. Rex 84, short for Readiness Exercise 1984, was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States federal government to detain large numbers of United States citizens deemed to be national security threats, in the event that the president declared a state of national emergency. You see, so you have these cops, they're getting military gear and also training to really take down and to subdue the people, man. And this is beautiful because this is going into prophecy. You know, a book that comes to mind for myself is 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter. 2 Ezra 15:14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And what is that modern sword? That gun, man. And you've seen so many different people that have problems with one another, and chiefly you see Esau and Jacob warring, you know, verbally right now against one another, man. You know, in times of emergency, you know, that's going to get hot real soon. But we're seeing that. You see, we're seeing Esau fight against Esau, the Egyptian rising up against the Egyptian. You know, when this place get bad and everything gets shut down, man, it's going to get hot out here. You see? And there's going to be a lot of deaths out here, you know. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the courses of their hands, their actions shall stand in their power. And a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. That's right. So, you know, that's going to be perfect time for them to issue what? Martial law. You know, it's order out of chaos, man. And we're starting to see, you know, all this madness come to a head, man. The so-called white man is going to make moves to put everything back in order in his eyes, man. But this is going perfectly with the will of the Most High. So I just wanted to bring that out, man. I did a sit down on this particular topic, how the wall really is a distraction, is really just going into austerity. So, you know, brothers want to check that out. And I just, you know, this is very interesting. I think I encourage brothers to, you know, stay on top of this news, you know, because this is big news. You know, this is could possibly be a fulfillment of prophecy. So we shall see. Call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua.